This is 4th grade Math Corner, Module 7, Lesson 2. This is a continuation of yesterday. The learning target is still, today I will create conversion tables for length, weight, and capacity to solve word problems. So today we're still going to be solving word problems, and we're still going to be changing or converting between units of measurement, going from the larger unit to the smaller unit, but we're going to use different units. We're going to be measuring with different things today. So in our first measurement conversion table, we're going to use capacity. So how much a container can hold. We're going to go from gallons to quarts. So if you watched the Brain Pop video that was recommended, it had talked about gallons, quarts, pints, cups, things like that. And I learned, or I have taught about a gallon castle. I can post that video as well. But it's a gallon castle. Had 4 queen daughters, and he split his land between them. And they each had a pint-sized princess and prince, and so the G is the gallon, and the Q are the quarts, and the P's are the pints, and it gets smaller from there. So I know that 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. So for every gallon, if this was a gallon, I would have 4 quarts. So this is a quart, and this is a gallon. And then if I made a copy of that, or did 2 of them, I would do 4 and 4 more, which would be 8. And if I had 3 of them, I would go 4 and then 8, and then 4 more would be 12. If you've noticed a pattern, all I'm doing is adding 4 more each time, and if I'm adding repeatedly the same number, it is multiplication. So the rule for converting gallons is times 4. So I have 4 gallons of 4 quarts, which equals 16, and then I have 5 gallons of 4 quarts, which equals 20, and if you've already noticed, it's skip counting: 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, and 40. So that is how I convert gallons to quarts. The next one is going from quarts to pints. And if you look at my gallon castle above, the gallon holds 4 quarts, and each quart has 2 pints. So for every quart, there are 2 pints. So if this was a quart, and the abbreviation is QT, quart, it has 2 pints in it. And if I was going to do 2 of these quarts, that would be 4. And if I had 3, I would go 2, 4, 6. And if you notice the pattern, it is multiplying by 2 for each quart that has 2 pints. And the list is going to skip count: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Frankie, no. Shh. Sorry, my dog is barking. Then we have pints to cups. And if I wanted to continue my story about Gallon Castle, I have a really cute PowerPoint that I do with it. But each pint-sized prince and princess, they get bored in the castle. If I showed you the story, and their queen mother lets them get cats, and they don't want to just get 1 cat because the cat needs a friend. So each pint gets 2, or each princess or prince gets 2 cats, which the C represents our cups. So there are 2 cups in every pint, which means so if this were my pint now, I would have 2 cups in it. And so if I had 1, that would be 2. But if I had 2 pints, I would go 2, 4. And then if I had another one, I had 2 and then 4, and now I have 6. And if you notice, it's multiplying by 2 cups in each pint. So again, I'm going to do my pattern: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So there are 20 cups in 10 pints because there's 2 cups in every pint. So using those, we're going to use, you can use those and the pattern or the rule to do your own conversion charts, and they are going to help us solve word problems. Before we do that, remember yesterday we saw, or the last lesson we saw, that some of them are multi-step because we're going from a really big to a really small, and we have to go between units first. So I have an example here. This example is going from gallons to pints. So we have to go, we know that each gallon holds quarts, and each quart then holds pints. So I have to go from gallons to quarts, then to pints. So I need to know the math in order to do this. So I can go back up to my conversion chart and see that each gallon has 4 quarts. So 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. And then I could go back up and find, if I look for 4 quarts, how many pints does it have? So I come back up to my quarts to pints, and that's this conversion chart. Whoops, and I had 4 quarts, and that makes 8 pints. So that would be 8 pints. So 1 gallon is 8 pints. Another way I could do this is with multiplication. So I know that 1 gallon has 4 quarts. So 1 times 1 gallon of 4 quarts would be 4. And then I know that each quart has 2 pints. So 4 quarts of 2 pints would give me 8. And these would be pints. So you could use the conversion tables, or if you don't want to keep scrolling up and down, you could remember the multiplication rule. And now I'm going to go from quarts to cups. So remember up here, I had quarts and they had pints, and the pints hold cups. So I could look and I could see that 1 quart has 2 pints. So I need to go, from quarts to pints, then to cups. So 1 quart equals 2 pints, and then I go back up and I need to see how many cups are in 2 pints. If I want to use my conversion table, I could say, I forgot 2 pints. 2 pints has 4 cups, and now I can fill in 4 cups. And I could do that, or I could just remember the multiplication, that each queen or each quart has 2 prince and princess or pint-sized people, and that equals 2, and that each pint-sized prince or princess got 2 cats or cups, and that equals 4. And so you would have to do that again. For the last one here, you are going to go from gallons to quarts to pints, and then all the way to cups. So you have to keep going back and forth between the units because you can't go from a giant to a super small. You have to step down like a ladder. You are also going to get word problems. So here's an example word problem. This says, Sean drank 2 liters of water today, which was 280 milliliters more than he drank yesterday. How much water did he drink yesterday? Oh, I'm sorry. This was liters and milliliters. We've already learned about milliliters and liters, so it was not in our conversion tables. We learned that, 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters. So if he had 2 liters, it would be 2 groups of 1,000 or 2,000 milliliters. So Sean drank 2 liters of water. That 2 liters is 280 liters more than he drank yesterday. So yesterday he drank less because today he drank more. I want to know how much water did he drink yesterday. So today is more, yesterday was less. So I want to go, oops, I forgot to change back to my pencil. So I want to say he drank 2,000 milliliters today, and yesterday he drank 280 milliliters less. So I'm going to just subtract that. I have my 0 minus 0. Oh, but I'm noticing that in these places, I cannot subtract. So I could do my 0 minus 0, but when I get to my tens, I can't do it. So I go to my hundreds, and it has none for me to borrow. So I go to my thousands, and I can borrow one from them. If you're in Mrs. Harris and Mrs. Iacano's class, we've learned the box method. So if you were in our class and you learned the box method, you can just put a box around the next places and see that if you didn't have the comma, it'd be 20, and you change them to 19 and then regroup, the 100 to the tens place. But if you're not, have no fear. I'm still here for you. You can just go all the way to the 1,000 and you make that a 1. And you can't just jump your thousands over to your tens. That would be way too many. So you have to give that 1 to the hundreds place, that 1,000 to the hundreds. And now you have 10 hundreds. But you still cannot subtract in your tens place. So you take 1 away from those 10 hundreds, which makes 9, and gives you 10 tens. So now we go 10 minus 8 is 2. 9 minus 2 is 7. 1 minus nothing is 1. Bring my comma because we go ones, tens, hundreds, comma. And that means that yesterday he drank 1,720 milliliters. So you might have to think back to a unit of measurement we learned before. Another type of problem you're going to have are just converting different units to the same unit. So this is 6 gallons and 3 quarts to all quarts. So you could go back up to your conversion table, or you could use multiplication. I know that for every gallon, for each gallon, there are 4 quarts. So 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. So this is 6 gallons times 4. So quarts, and I know 6 times 4 is 24. So this 6 gallons is actually 24 quarts. And I want to put it together with the 3 quarts, and that makes 27 quarts. And now I want to go from 5 quarts and 1 pint to just pints. I could do multiplication again. I know that there are 2 pints in every quart, so I could go 5 times 2. Or if you want to use your conversion tables, it's perfectly fine. This says 5 quarts. I'm going to go back up to my conversion table that has quarts, and 5 quarts has 10 pints. So then I come back down here and I say this 5 quarts is actually 10 pints. And then add it together with that 1 pint. 10 plus 1 is 11, and they are 11 pints. Go ahead and try that on your problem set. If you have any questions, please contact your teacher.